before we moved into our current house, we lived in a 2-bedroom apartment it was obviously us, and then we had our oldest, and then our middle child, and Natalie was pregnant with our third child at the time. And we lived in this apartment that was off of Park Avenue, so not too far away from here. And it's not the hood, but it's like, there were some gunshots here and there, and you gotta, and you just gotta tell yourself, oh, fireworks in September. And I don't know, it's like someone really slammed that car door hard. So you tell your kids, right? Anyways, so it was, but it was like kind of a transition place for us. We were figuring out finances and jobs and things like that. And so it was, there was some intention behind it. We knew we were going to set up and prepare and all this stuff, but it was this 3-story apartment building. Anyone live in a 3-story? What's the worst story to live in a 3-story? The middle, right? So our little 2-bedroom with 4 people and a pregnant woman, and I don't know, the color black is hiding it well, but I got some weight on me, okay? And just kids running. We lived in the 2nd floor, and the problem with the 2nd floor is people below you are going to hear everything. If you turn a movie on too loud, they're like, you need to turn Star Wars down. If you tiptoe just a little too hard, okay, it's gonna, and again, we got running kids. So it's we always, I think our neighbors were nice, but there was a couple times that they had to, but then so you're kind of tiptoeing around an apartment, but then you also have that problem above you. And you're just hoping that they're aware of it. But at this apartment, at least for the last year that we were in it, apparently, our neighbor above us liked to do jumping jacks at 3 a.m. I'm assuming that is what was happening, because it was in the living room pretty consistently. And I'm not confrontational in that, I don't like having difficult conversations, but I am confrontational if you're just being an idiot. I've woken people up in movie theaters because they're snoring. I'm not even joking. And then if it happens again, I go to whoever their date is and I said, hey, it looks like your partner is too tired to be here. Maybe go home. And so I'm that way. So if it's 3 a.m, I will go upstairs and knock on the door and be like, stop. Okay, so that happened all the time, and it was just it was a mess. There was one time I knocked on the door. It was midnight, and it was 4 frat dudes wrestling. James, why? I don't know. I probably was like that in my 20s too, those early 20s. Yeah. You're not wrong. So it was just it was messy, and we tried to do our best. I never want to call the cops on, especially if it could just be resolved in a conversation. And it's only whenever that's not getting resolved. I don't need to worry about fights or getting shot out here. Popos, get over here. And we're calling the fuzz. It's going to be okay. And so, but the crime, if I called and they got they committing, it's disturbing the peace. Right? Have you heard that? It's this catch-all for quit being a jerk, and go to bed at a normal time, go inside, and I'll just leave us alone. That's what disturbing the peace is. Because what was happening at 3 a.m. it was offensive. It felt invasive. I felt like it was coming into our home. And there was I have no control over this outside force. And so I got to get something bigger than that outside force to stop that. And even then, the police could just drive away, and then it could happen again. Because again, they were doing it once, they're probably going to do it again, or at least another day. And so then I got to call, and just like suddenly I am like babysitting these adults, like, and it just feels like, oh my gosh, like there's nothing I can do. Disturbing the peace is an appropriate crime name for it. You are disturbing, like horror movie. It's shaking me, like you're disturbing my peace. I'm part of like ADHD, which I know a lot of us have it. So something in the water, I don't know. But noise sensitivity is like one of those like big things. Anybody have like noise sensitivity? Okay, like what we're finding now, like psychologists and audiologists have been working together for years, and studies are just now having some like fruit and are able to kind of put out of the combination of how your brain reacts to sound. One of the things that they're starting to realize is simply at 50 decibels, your body goes into fight or flight mode. And it doesn't mean like don't go panic attack. Most people hear that and it just means your body starts preparing that anything could happen. So like, I'm not saying you're getting like tense and you're freaking out. You're just like, ooh, I'm not alone. Like it's just kind of like that. It could be like rainfall is like 50 decibels. Like, by the way, a normal conversation with people, 50 decibels. It's super low, super standard. Most of us are not offended by 50 decibels. Okay, the next level, then we're looking at like 80 to 90 decibels. Okay, and you might be thinking like, oh, this might be like a big concert. This is the vacuum being on. Isn't that crazy? And it says that like what they're finding is at this point that your body and your mind start kind of linking together, that there's a noise happening and it's either in your control or out of your control. And you need to start kind of figuring those out really, really quickly. Like a vacuum, you would hear that and you go, ooh, okay, vacuum. Maybe I didn't know it was going to be turned on. Great. But the vacuum's not going to be on all day. Like, so you immediately calm down. You start rationalizing, okay? But then if you're like out at a park and then suddenly there's some screaming, even from a distance, you go, ooh, that's far away. I have no idea. You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm just letting you know, like, what is happening. This is fascinating stuff. If you're interested in this, look it up. One of our favorite authors, John Mark Comer, actually coming out with a book later this year about silence and noise. That's going to partner with that. Okay, here's the one that almost everybody will have a problem with, 110 decibels. Okay, so if you go to a concert, it's going to be like 110 decibels, like or louder. Like it's just a lot of noise. And the problem with that is you can't hear anything else outside of that noise. And so it just rattles your brain that has like a whole other personality within yourself. And it just goes, oh, this is only it. And in some people, it's just, whew, like that is a focus point. It's like, finally I could stop all the outside noise because the noise is so heavy now. A baby crying is about 110 decibels. It's also about the sound of a chainsaw going off. And so if you, parents, let me relieve you a little bit. When your baby cries and you have like a reaction to it, give yourself some grace. Your body is going. Exactly. So here's one of the things is, okay, so that's just sound, but then like take in the noise of life. Okay? There's a bill that's not being paid. Let's go, that's maybe an 80 decibel problem, okay? Oh, I need to go get my oil changed. Maybe like a 50 decibel problem. That's just like a life thing. But I got a diagnosis, or I think I'm gonna get fired, or not. Now we're talking about these 110 decibel things. How about this? In our current climate right now, you just turn on the news, just click into social media, and it feels like stuff that honestly should normally just be about 50 decibel problems, which is just we're having a discourse about how we live in a democratic nation, and it used to just be that, and now everything is 110 decibels. Everyone's got to be louder than the next person, because if you're loud, you're right. If you're offensive, you're right. Because, oh, if you're offended, well, there must be a reason for that. Yes, you're a jerk. That's the reason. Because we didn't have to do this. We didn't have to. But that is, and so it's this disturbing piece. And so if you're feeling more anxious than normal, I get it. And hopefully even just this might tune in a little bit of like, oh my gosh, why? Like, why am I waking up dreading certain things? Am I depressed? You might not be depressed. You might just be like overwhelmed. And no one's taught practices of peace. How do you reduce the noise? Come back to a peace. We get like a picture of this kind of noise in Mark chapter 4. I'm going to put it up on the screen behind me. And it says, as evening came, Jesus said to his disciples, let's cross to the other side of the lake. So they took Jesus in the boat and started out, leaving the crowds behind, although other boats followed. Okay, yeah. People kept following him. Paparazzi. Verse 37, but soon a fierce storm came up. High waves were breaking into the boat and began to fill with water. Jesus was sleeping. Sweet, that's awesome. At the back of the boat with his head on a cushion. The disciples woke him up shouting, Teacher, don't you care we're going to drown? Because that is the appropriate question to ask Jesus when a hurricane or waves are crashing onto your boat and he's sleeping. Yeah. Jesus, wake up. We're going to die. And you, by the way, even just self-preservation, Jesus, like lift a sail, like something, like be Jesus right now. But where I need you to be Jesus, you're sleeping, you're silent, you're away. And I know where to find you, but I'm still not seeing the response that I'm hoping for. Anybody have these prayers? I like to think of Dwell being a place where you go, I know Jesus is at least there. I know that God is doing something there, because those people worship, those people talk, those people read the Bible. So if I'm struggling with it, at least I can go there and I know Jesus was there. But have you ever left one of these Sundays going, I still got no answers? It seems like he was sleeping the entire time. Like, I tried to engage, but it's still just, I'm going back into this unpeace. It's not a real word, but let's use this word, unpeace. Because I think to list out like all the other things that are, they just might take too long. So I feel you. I'm with you. I've been there. I've walked out of Sundays like that. I've walked out of prayer times like that. I've spent money to go to conferences to get like a spirit kind of like empowerment, and went, I just wasted $500. I am with you. This is happening all the time. And so what do we do when we don't feel like Jesus is answering? When we feel like he's just asleep? Like, I know he's in the boat, but he's just asleep. We take control, right? We go, I'm just going to do what I need to. I'm going to make peace. I'm going to make it happen. And this idea is actually structured somewhat in the Bible, that there is things where you go, oh, we need to, God is asking us to partner. I do not believe in passive followership. I don't believe that if we pray, God just answers. He's not a magician. We don't conjure him. I think he gives us opportunities to follow. a pastor in my life when I was a young kid. He said, if you pray and ask God, he will give you good things in your life. This is very similar to a verse that God will give you the desires of your heart. Okay, and I was like, okay, great. And so for 2 weeks while I was a kid, I prayed for a super soaker. I was like, Lord, if you are good, you will let me super soak people. And for 2 weeks, God didn't answer. And so I went to my pastor and I went up to him and I said, Pastor, it turns out you're a liar. Because I've been praying and I've been a good kid. I'm doing the best I can. And he says, well, Eric, did your dad give you an opportunity to do some chores this week? And I said, yeah. And he goes, did you do them? And I said, no. And he said, does your family have a lawnmower? And I said, yeah. And he goes, does your neighbors have grass? And I said, yeah. And he goes, have you thought about maybe asking if you could mow their lawn for money? And I said, no. Why would he do that? He says, Eric, what I don't think you're realizing is God is trying to open your heart to the work that he wants to do with you. That he does want to give you good things in your life and things that you're hoping for that don't have anything to do with God. It's just desires like a new home, a new car, whatever that might be. But what are you doing alongside him? What are the things that he's doing? And so one of these things, Jesus talks in a sermon really early on in the book of Matthew. And one of the parts of the sermon is called the Beatitudes. These are the characteristics or the types of people that Jesus says, if you're doing these things, you will be called blessed. You will be doing good things and your life will have blessing within it. In the 13th example, Jesus gives this one in Matthew 5:9 and said, maybe you've seen this, blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Has anybody heard this? I hope so. We've used this recently. Okay, making peace is a good thing. To become a peacemaker, not a peacekeeper. Peacekeepers are passive. And again, please hear this for some of my non-confrontational people. I'm with you. It probably stems from somebody in your life being an unpeacemaker. But that doesn't mean you can't become one now. It just means that the journey might be a little bit different. Remember, beginning journeys, longer journeys. We're all on one. It's not good or bad. It's just where you're at. Okay? So he says, be a peacemaker. A blessed person in God's kingdom is a peacemaker. Now, Nicole, one of the problems with this is it's incredibly vague on what making peace is. Because it's all a matter of perspective. Okay? The Pharisees in Jesus' time think that they're trying to make peace, okay? Which means kill this Jesus guy because he's going to separate our faith. He's going to ruin our people. He's going to cause confusion. To them, they're going, we need to make peace, which means he cannot be here. We've tried to teach him. We've tried to coach him. We've tried to do all these things, and it's not working. Well, he's left us no other option because we want to be blessed people, so we're going to make some peace here. Jesus was also trying to make some peace, right? And we go, well, the Jesus peace is like the good peace. But most of us don't do this. Most of us try to do what the Pharisees did, which is to take control. In God's name, this is what he wants. And I got to partner with him. He's not going to give me that super soaker unless I work for it. And we've just started bastardizing the message of God. And I'm sorry if that's an offensive word for anybody, but that's truly what it is. We're taking what is supposed to be a family lineage and separating it from its identity as a child of God. And so you become something that used to have the name of your father, but now you no longer have that father helping you. You've become separated. Like, look at the core origins of these words. And so, what's happened? Okay, I'm going to speak to our current world right now. And what's frustrating is that in the talking about this, that things would ever sound political is dumb. Like I'm gonna be a little aggressive, because the world's politics in God's name has been too ingrained into God's kingdom. And the thought has been, not just here, but all over, is that we are supposed to make God's kingdom a nation that is not his. And so in order to be in an America, we need to make it a Christian America. And that is not said in the Bible at all. Not at all. In fact, it almost says the opposite, which is, let the world be the world. You are not children of the nations, you're the children of God. You are not citizens of Rome, Paul puts it, but you are citizens of heaven. It's not to say you shouldn't be involved or have an opinion. Have your opinion, but to do it in God's name, and not just the way of life you want to live, which is your opinion. And we're in a free nation in which you can live out that opinion without you having to force it on anyone else. Live your life. That is literally, so what is, okay, so when I was, in 2001, I was in my living room in Utah. We had obviously the delay from New York to us, and I saw 2 towers being hit and people dying on live TV. That is my generation. I was 11 years old, okay, when this happens. And from that point, every politician and leader has promised peace, but has never brought it. So can you imagine the lie that is happening in our world, that after unpeace, after unpeace, after unpeace, and then we're told this is a chaotic, destroyed, evil world that we need to put in order, and God is the only one to do it, and it still doesn't happen. No wonder my generation says that God is a liar. Because if he appointed officials and they put their hand on my Bible and said that I will make this happen, and they don't, and the thing that they call peace is using children as bait to shoot people in the face and the back, to invade countries, use our political resources to threaten nations, what peace is that? I cannot imagine anywhere that if that was happening, we would go, that's good. That is what is going to bring peace. Why do I know that? It didn't happen when Bush was president. It didn't happen when Obama was president. I don't care about I just care about being told that this is what God wants. Stop. That's what you want. And I can't control that. But the fact that you're forcing this is pushing people away. And we're supposed to be people of peace. Instead, when I tell someone I'm a Christian, there's a conversation I have to have with them. Can I tell you, we're in a church that's filled with a very diverse political view. Good. I don't want to be robots. I don't want us all to think the same and be the same. But I believe no matter your political opinion, you could still desire God and what he wants over any of those opinions. But you would have to figure out what that means. Because making peace has nothing to do with making your outside world peaceful. Making peace is about making peace with you and God. That there are things, and although it might sound like I've looked at one side of an aisle, let's look at the other side, okay? How about that? Let's dig into this other liberal side of stuff. Because you're offended by these people, you've cut relationships off with family members, you've ruined people, you've written them off, you've called them names, you pushed them away. I'm not talking about protests or anything like that. Stand up, believe in what you're going to believe. But the fact that we have ruined families and friendships, and we've canceled people's lives for making real mistakes, but we don't give them opportunities of accountability. That's what then they should be offended. They should be scared of you. You see the world that we're in. This is what's happening. And nobody's looking at themselves and going, am I at peace? I'm the only thing I can control. Rich Villodas, one of my favorite authors, preachers, teachers, follow him on Instagram, please. He will change your world. He says, we cannot offer peace to the world if we do not have it in ourselves. It's easy to identify the storms outside of life. The disciples didn't have to look very hard to find a wave, okay? They're in a storm. It's there. Hey, big wave there, I'm going to die. Like this is scary. Like, this is real life. Like, it doesn't take very hard right now for us to step outside and go, wave. Like, it doesn't even have to be an opinion. You're just like, this is just universally bad. Like, waves. Like, but what do we do with that? You see, it does not matter what the disciples do. They cannot control the waves. So they have to go to somebody that can. They got to do something a little bit different. So this is what they do. Mark chapter 4. I'm going a little long today, guys. I'm sorry. Mark chapter 4, verse 39 here. When Jesus woke up, he rebuked the wind and said to the waves, "Silence, be still." Suddenly the wind stopped and there was a great calm. Then he asked them, "Why are you afraid? Do you still have no faith?" You see, they're on the boat with Jesus, and they think the waves that he created might kill him. That's what we're doing. That's where we're at a lot of times. And so when Jesus looks at the waves to the left and right that all of us are identifying, we've been yelling at and trying to get to stop and trying to control it. We've been looking at our boat that the water is being capsized on, and we're like, everybody grab a coffee mug. And Jesus goes, let me put things into order that I created. Be still. And it's still. This is what Jesus can do. Timothy Keller, amazing theologian, says this: peacemakers are people who, through making peace with God, have finally learned how to admit flaws and weaknesses, how to surrender their pride, how to love without the need to control every situation. And if you're on the boat with Jesus, you're going to be okay. This is going to take time, but Jesus wants to invite you to walk in his garden. That's this whole series. So, very quickly, because we've been talking about this, I want to use the olive very quickly to talk about peace. So olives are an important resource, especially at this time. If you don't know this about olives, it'd be weird if you did. Olives are one of these fruits. It is a fruit because it's a flesh with a seed. Anyways, it just doesn't taste good. That's the problem. And olives grow on trees. and olive branches, yes, absolutely, which come off of the trees, which is awesome. Yes, nailed it. If you didn't know this, to get the best version of the olive, it takes about 15 years that you have to keep. You grow it, you harvest it, it's bad. Then you wait another season, you grow it, you harvest it, it's bad. Do that 15 years, and then you get a good olive. And on that olive tree, you're going to get about 5,000 to 8,000 different olives. It's a great resource. They're food, they're all this stuff. But their most valuable part is actually their oil, right? You make bank. If you could make a garden filled with olive trees, you're set. And not only that, because it takes 15 years for a single tree to grow, but then after that, olive trees can last between 500 and 4,000 years, producing every season, producing good fruit every season. And so what you would do if you want to make olive oil is you would have to plant a garden in a place in which the garden could grow at least 15 years, if not 4,000. So because of this, if you want to know where the olive branch came from, all the world would say, when I see an olive or its branches, and especially the tree, there must have been no war there. Because if there was war, that tree couldn't produce. So then whenever you would come to a nation with peace, you would take proof. We bring peace. We bring a piece of our peace. So you would make this. Wherever there were olives, there were peace. And so Jesus, he often went to a very specific garden. And in this garden was actually an olive grove. And it sat at a mountain that was called the Mountain of Olives, the Mountain of Olives. And there's a ton of significance, and I could go on more and more tangents already. But this garden in particular would be a place that Jesus went to often. So much so that the disciples know where it is, know where to find him. Jesus left. We lost him. He's not even on the boat. And it'd be, have you checked the garden? I checked the garden. Okay, did you check the desert? It's how many days has it been? 40? Yeah, he's coming back. Don't worry. This would be a place he would go to pray. It was a regular attitude. So then, on his most difficult day of his life, the day he gets betrayed, and then the next day he's murdered in front of all the people he was trying to save and bring peace to. He goes to this garden. I know this sounds like a little redundant, but watch this. When Jesus wants to pray for peace, he goes to the garden of peace under the mountain of peace. Isn't this cool? And we go, my living room's okay. Where's the place that is set that you're going to find God and find peace? If that's your living room, make it your living room. That means no unpeaceful things go there. You got to let a garden grow. That can't be a place that any war happens. It means if you have division with your spouse, not in that room. I mean it. This is peace. Every time I walk in these doors, I should feel it. I should know this is safe. I should be able to go to God with anything. My worst confession in the world. This should be the place. And Jesus has that. And Jesus prays a prayer, and what we've now learned, we call it the agony of the garden within this. And he prays a prayer like this in Mark 14. And it says, my soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. This is Jesus, our Savior, the Messiah, the one who bears all weight of sin. Stay here, he said to them, stay here, this is the disciples, and watch. Going a little farther, he fell to the ground and prayed that if possible, the hour might pass from him. Abba, Father, he said, everything is possible for you. Take this cup from me, yet not what I will, but what you will. Does this kind of prayer sound familiar? We said at the beginning, in fact, God, where are you? I know you're in a place. I'm here at the place to find peace. Where are you? I'm crying out. I'm asking for you. Are you going to do something? But here's what Jesus does that we don't do often. Do whatever you want to do. Here's what I would like. But I know you're the only one that can make peace in the outside. So I'm telling you what I think would make me have peace, but you know better than me. You know me better than I do. So God, your will be done. His prayer is that no matter what is unpeaceful around him, he invites God to bring peace within him. Worship team, would you guys come forward? The garden is called Gethsemane, and it's no mistake that God goes here to pray. You guys with me? You got 5 more minutes with me? Okay. It's no mistake that this would be the place that he goes to pray. In Hebrew, the garden means the oil press. So in this garden, in this grove, the thing they would literally do is take all the olives, they'd put them in trays, and then they would stack the trays, and then they had this like lever system because they couldn't make pneumatic like movements. It was a giant stone, and it would go on top, and then it would squeeze all the oil and the water out of the olives in order to make its oil, its most valuable thing. And what I find interesting, in order to get the most valuable thing from peace, it has to go through pressing. It has to be squeezed out. Me neither. You see, peace is found in the pressing. And pressing is embracing, not avoiding. You see, what you thought was destroying you is actually releasing you. What you thought was weighing you down is actually the thing that is going to give you the purest peace possible. The most valuable thing. Something that could heal, that could season food. But here's the one that's important for us as Christians. It could anoint you. In the Bible, whenever a prophet wanted to show the approval of God's people, he would go and he would get a bottle of oil and he would pour it over their heads until they were completely covered. And it was an anointing saying, you are covered by God. You see it, David, if you read about David before he becomes king, Prophet Samuel comes to his home, looks at all of his brothers, says, no, not you. He gets to David. God says, that's my guy. Pour oil over him. Anoint him as king. I will cover him. And so David could go through wars. He could be on the run and a fugitive. He could write songs about how he thought he was going to die, yet, like this prayer from Jesus, he'd go, but God, you anointed me. You said you would cover me. So I'm calling on you to do the thing you said you were going to do. In fact, he writes something that we're all pretty familiar with, and I don't know if you've ever read this, but this might be something to write down to bring into your prayer time this week. Psalms 23 is a psalm of David. The Lord is my shepherd. I lack nothing. Can you think, just a second, if I'm emotional, what's pressing you right now? What feels like weight? What feels like something is destroying you right now? Think about that. I'm going to say this again, okay? Maybe close your eyes if you need to focus and hear God's words to you. Through his servant David, the Lord is my shepherd, and I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters, and he refreshes my soul. He guides me along right paths for his name's sake, and even though I walk through the darkest valley, I fear no evil, For you are with me, your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. And catch this, you anoint my head with oil. They comfort me. You prepare a table, Lord God. Surely your goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Would you guys stand with me? Today I want to call us to peace and to be people of peace and to live that out. And it turns out, uncomfortably, that might mean you need to let yourself be pressed. Worship team.